Okay, now that I've left this place, I can finally talk about it. I'm going to be talking about Menards, and it's basically awful management, especially as of recently. I'll just say that at first, it was an okay job. It was a lot to take in since I was a cashier and I was new to this gigantic store. Granted, they didn't expect me to memorize everything in a single week. I've been working at that place for over 3 years now, and I could have made another year, but not after the crap I've been through. Like I've mentioned, management of late has been bad. Our main manager was fired for some reason, and of course they don't tell us cashiers. Why would they? It's not like we cared for our manager or anything. I've been being scheduled for nothing but 3 to 10 shifts every day. Like, I don't mind this so much, but I didn't even get a break in between any of those days. Like, almost looks like a full-timer's job, which, fun fact, I wasn't full-time. But whatever, I dealt with it. It was my job. Before I explain what kind of did it for me, I'll tell of the questionable actions of what happened before my inevitable leave. Our service hero and employee of the month are total crap. I've been working for this company for almost 3 years. I've done my part time and time again, and yet I've never received it. But you know who has gotten it? A girl who had just stood there and talked to every department for hours on end. When they had to leave, they took the smallest card of returns and disappeared for the last hour. Another girl who comes back from school and not even a week later receives it for basically doing nothing. And lastly, a girl who hadn't even worked a whole month in and she had already gotten it. I really don't mean to sound selfish or anything, but when you work as long as I have and you see all these people getting noticed and you haven't been even noticed once, it tends to sting a little bit. Our garden center. Let me tell you, I hated working in the garden center, mainly due to the fact that apparently no one else could work there, when in all honesty, all it was is a radio. When you're out in the garden center, you're on your own. All you have is the radio and the cash register. That's it. There's no one else out there with you. It can be a little daunting at first, but you get used to it. What I didn't get used to though was being left out in the sweltering heat multiple times with hundreds or so mosquitoes. And yeah, they did have water outside, and they did switch us out every so often, but that was only one day when the heat index was over 100 degrees. Those other 90 plus degree days? Nah, we could handle that. We're fine. No, but seriously, I despise that out there. What really made me mad, though, was that our front office had a list, and if anyone wanted to work in the garden center, they would put their names down. I didn't put my name down, but I was almost always the one out there closing it down. And by that time, we were starting to feel the effects of being short-staffed. It was creeping in on us. Since I was stuck out in the garden center, there was basically no one to do our returns. You know, the things we're in charge of putting back for some reason, even though it should be the department's job to put them away. But no, it's our job. Every single thing that everyone returns, we have to put away. Which, you know, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal as it was if we actually were, staffed well. But majority of the time, we weren't. I can recall on more than one occasion when I was the only one closing. If not the only one, then just one other person would be closing with me. And that would really suck, because I would basically be in charge of breaks and putting away any and all returns, which sometimes look like hell. Alright, so usually closing crew should consist of one person on our service desk, one head cashier, which was just a cashier with more rights. They were just in charge of breaks, and if customers were giving a shit, they talked to them. And at least 3 cashiers to close it down. And 3 is a generous number. I didn't even mention this, but Menards is a big-ass home improvement store. Think of it as a Home Depot but with groceries and pet food. We have 11 registers we can occupy, but at most, we usually have 2 people on register. And if the lines got long, our head cashier would have to hop on. Closing, I'd say, would be the worst shift. Like, our manager would schedule 6 to 8 openers and mid-shifters, but only 2 to 4 closers. And that's if we're lucky. Oh yeah, if anyone from the closing shift calls in, we're basically screwed, because we would only have 1 or 2 people to close. That being someone on service desk and the others on register. So basically, anything else that had to be done wouldn't get done. Now, I could go on with another whole list of crap I have about this place, and trust me, it's a lot. But I do want to talk about the thing that made me walk away from this job. and that was when I was literally the only one scheduled to close. And no, I don't mean me being the only one on register and there would be another person on service. I mean, I was the only one scheduled and I was to be closing our service desk. Like, before I even, looked at the schedule, my head cashier is like, "Oh, you're on service desk." And I replied with, "The fuck I'm not." I go to the service desk and the new manager we have asks me how I am. I tell her I am mad for obvious reasons, and she asks something like, "Oh, are you mad at me?" I was trying to hold back tears at this point because I was stuttering and I was debating whether leaving this place. And I just kind of said, "I don't know." And this fucking clueless woman asked me, out of all fucking things, if I wanted more hours. I kind of just laughed and I was like, you know what, this isn't worth it. I took my stuff, I clocked out, and I walked away. Now, I know I'm gonna get some 50-year-old commenting on my video with something along the lines of,
"You're just a little baby who can't handle the workforce. I've worked for Menards for my entire life, and it's the best job I've ever had."
well, good for you. You found a job that you enjoy, and they're treating you fairly. But you have to realize that it's not 1995 anymore. The retail world has changed drastically since then. It's not the same anymore, and it's honestly going downhill from here. Look, I'm not trying to deter anybody from not working there. There were some perks, and I liked working with the people who were there. But I just couldn't do it anymore. But anyway, if you face any kind of retail unfairness, please let me know down below. Stuff like this shouldn't go unheard. And to anyone watching this video, I wish you good luck in job hunting.